And now we just slide right into the next one.
Smooth transition. All right, next up, time for fucking nice legs of character. Also, tragic story. Ooh.
Yeah, it's really rough.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really rough because there are a lot of scenes and a lot of dialogue where it's like, oh, you've been through a lot.
Yeah. I don't even know the full breadth of her backstory myself. Oh, wow. The most I know of immediately off the top of my head is the fact that her husband was killed, I don't know if in front of her, and she also just became a puppet for Oda, so, oof.
Her brother was killed right in front of her, not in Basara directly, but in actual history and later Samurai Warriors games. Her daughter was stolen from her, and she was made to be a political puppet of sorts, where Oda forced her to marry into one of his generals, that being Katsuie Shibata, who in Sengoku Basara 4 is the freak who says, I'm going to go and start impersonating your husband.
Right, that guy.
Yeah, the guy that's obsessed with her. That guy's a funny story because his character changes immediately between Basara 4 and Yukimura Legend, where he's just a completely different sort of dude.
Jeez.
And that is sort of important to note because... Oh, wait, no, I was thinking of someone else from Samurai Warriors. Never mind, I was going to say he's sort of a comical character in that series, but I was thinking of another character. But this is my favorite version of a cutscene, of an intro cutscene in the game, because there's actually only like 5 cutscenes total, with slight variations on them based on who you're playing. So there'll be like 3 different versions of this intro with Yukimura, where you'll have Yukimura Vision, you'll have Yoshihiro Shimazu, the old guy with the Buster Sword Vision, and Oichi Vision. And this one is my favorite, because when it gets there, it's like the shortest one of them all.
Huh.
So it's like really, really lazy. It's like, we don't know where to stick her in for an intro.
There we go.
It's like, yeah, she's just randomly here for no discernible reason.
So I thought she was going to have some interaction with Yukimura's story, judging from that intro, but ouch, that sucks.
No, they just needed a place to stick her, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of get it, but god damn it.
This is a game with go figure it being Capcom, in the late 2000s / this game released in 2010, having a bit of a clearly awkward development cycle. There were some characters where it's very clear they weren't intended to be playable from the outset, so they went through a majority of development without them being playable, and then someone had a great idea, so okay, we have to rework them into the story somehow.
Gonna point out how, Oichi has a full story unto herself, full quote-unquote, but Kojiro doesn't. Not even playable. Yeah.
Oichi is actually the greatest example of this, because the story that we're about to play with her is her third route, the route that you unlock from playing both of her other routes, and her other routes are literally just her deciding if she wants to join up with either Ieyasu or Mitsunari for no discernible reason, depending on who. Because they sort of disregard her completely. They're like, okay, I guess you can be a part of our army. Go over here and attack these people. Depending on who you side with, she'll either call them Lord Happy or Lord Grumpy. So it's like, yeah, from the outset, she wasn't meant to be that prominent of a character. Someone had a great idea later on in development. So okay, we'll add her back in. That's why her route is green, not like gray or pink like the other characters that ended up getting multiple routes.
Who is it that beckons me?
Alright then.
That voice. So dark,
Oichi does not seem like she's in the frame of mind right now to even remotely lead an army, let alone really be a thing.
No, not in the slightest.
Yeah.
She takes orders. She takes orders and sort of does okay at the job that someone else gives her.
From the blackest sky, the spirits descend.
Also, this is the only time in the entire game that this stage ends up being important.
Really? This would be interesting then.
And so far as a character can have dialogue without cutscenes.
Also, damn it, she doesn't have access to the Cougar outfit in this game. I just realized that.
Yeah, that was introduced in 4. I like this one better because it's the fucking stained glass thing. I like it better than the pink armor she wears normally.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty cool. I don't really have a problem with her pink outfit normally, but yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from with that. So, Oichi's playstyle is unique.
Slow.
Slow, yeah.
No weapons. No traditional physical weapons of any kind.
You would think that with summoning giant ghost hands, she'd be a bit more of a power hitter, but not even really. Like, her regular attacks lack a lot of hits done on anyone, really.
The thing is, you need to make sure that her attacks hit, which is sort of difficult, but when they do, they actually do a fair bit of damage, as you'll see here. But it's also that, again, she's very slow, so she's actually going to take a lot of damage in the meantime, which is good because I think she has at least a mild form of super armor, or at least she doesn't stun very easily.
I'd sure hope she wouldn't, given her general playstyle. Like, she would probably be completely unplayable if she didn't have super armor.
Yeah, it's kind of necessary. No two ways about it.
Yeah. Oh, there is also the black hole move. It's great.
Yeah, that vortex move is really good.
Honestly, there's really good nuggets of ideas for making her moveset playable, but she strikes me almost like a sort of a V situation in DMC5, where it's like, there's great ideas here, but there's some core stuff missing to really make her, like, actually excel by herself. You know what I mean?
Yes, and there is a reason for that. She is one of only 2 characters in the whole series that has actually overgone a moveset change. Not a design change, but a complete moveset change.
Right, yeah.
In two Heroes, she was an NPC in 2, but when she was made playable in 2 Heroes, her moveset was that of a Naginata with 2 blades on the end. So she was still a little bit slow, but she had very long reach, and her attacks did medium to high damage. But at that time, the games were a bit more conventional, so characters still didn't stand out a whole lot that much from each other.
Yeah, it was still essentially
amazing.
Dynasty Wars at that time period.
Yes, very much. I'd still say that even Sengoku Basara 1 plays better than any of the PS2 Dynasty Warriors games.
God, yeah.
And so, the other character that got a moveset overhaul is Ieyasu, who had a spear in the first 2 games before upgrading to the gauntlets when he went through puberty.
Double puberty. Huh. New path. Cool.
These things tend to just loop around from each other.
Yeah. So the issue usually being with these kinds of different quote-unquote style of movesets for these kind of games is that usually it takes some careful balancing to make these kinds of characters not overtly fucking overpowered. It's sort of like a weird sort of jump here, but like I immediately think of like Fujitora from Pirate Warriors 3, where he has speed,
yes.
He has hit stun, and he has the obscene range. So it takes like a delicate balancing act to make characters like these work, but it's so hard because it's like if you go below the mark, the character's not useless. If you go over the mark, congratulations, easy best character in the game.
Well, the thing is, for as good as this game is, and it's very good, the gameplay was still sort of a work in progress. You jump up even to Vanilla 4, and it basically is like playing on Devil May Cry Turbo. Everything is faster. Animations, character movement, attack speed in general, frame data, if you want to put it like that. So it's like they were still sort of getting the hang of this new updated style of gameplay since this was their first outing with it. And in 4 and onwards, she does do more damage and her attacks are a bit faster. So they compensate for that sort of thing after the fact.
Yeah, for me, what makes one of these games even remotely good is, and this is actually a funny thing, it's an old system going back to even like Dynasty Warriors Gundam 2, just the ability to dash cancel out of your moves. Like, it might seem mundane, but like if you're doing something, it really does like add extra layers of speed to your moveset, and it doesn't feel like if you do a move, you are so committed to it, you're not leaving until it's fucking over. I don't think Basara 3 lets you cancel any moves explicitly. I think there's some ways you can, but if they did that in later games, I feel like that would definitely add a lot more to the gameplay. Like, even just like a nice speed boost, like jump canceling.
So Oichi would definitely be one of the only characters that wouldn't be able to use that just based on her animation.
Oh yeah, obviously.
I'm fairly certain that Basara 3 has guard canceling.
Oh, being able to like do attacks and then like you can guard like before the actual like wind down animation is done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain that you can guard cancel.
I will save
Because otherwise there's a lot of times where you would just be very open
Save me.
and unable to guard or dodge certain attacks.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I know for a fact you can guard cancel in 4. I'm pretty sure you can do it in 3 also.
Hey, old snake, back again.
Death, no trees shall bear fruit, nor flowers bloom.
So the reason this character matters in this one instance is because of course he can resurrect the dead, and Oichi can sort of sense that. At first she thinks that she might be able to get her husband back, but she realized, oh wait, someone nefarious would probably try to resurrect her brother instead.
Yeah, that's the thought I was having too.
Of course, that's not this guy's aim. He's, again, just one of the regional warlords. So he just wants to have his own undead army. So she has a couple of misconceptions here, but it sets her on the path for the rest of her story.
Wanting to get her husband back, but not wanting to resurrect her brother? Yeah.
Fearing that her brother will end up coming back one way or another. And also treading down memory lane, because there's going to be a lot of scenes where she is confronted with her past, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, man. This story mode really just, like, is just giving me vibes of Berserk right now.
A little, yeah.
Not in the obvious Eclipse sort of way, but more so in, like, the darker elements of, like, this demon used to be a human, but shit went south for them, like early Berserk, like, back before they started going down the Golden Age route.
Yeah, and what's interesting to note about that is the people that are supporting her right now are actually Oda's forces. This is the only when she joins the other routes. In the other routes, when she joins Ieyasu or Mitsunari, she alone becomes a part of their army. She doesn't have an existing unit of her own, so she's actually like a solo act. In this route, she's actually found by some Oda remnants, and so they're like, okay, we can use her, and we can prop up our empire again. And she sort of has no idea what's going on, or doesn't care.
Yeah, I vaguely remember this is kind of the story of the movie, I want to say.
Yeah, where against her will, she's being used to summon Oda.
As that army often tries to do. There was a cut there, I think.
Yeah, one thing you might have noticed when I was doing Magoichi's Route 2 is that I cut out every instance of a loading screen and of the menu.
Holy shit, has this level always had so much poppin'?
No.
Huh.
That was news to me too.
Must be a real punch in the over he's getting called Demon Queen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I don't want anything to do with my brother. Shit.
So, yeah, this route, it's going through memory lane. Everyone who was ever associated previously with the Oda faction in one way or another, whether they were direct subordinates or just lords that were allied with him, or even, so to call it, contractors. Yoshiaki Mogami was previously a allied lord. Which is very funny because this character gets elevated in Utage and 4, both to being a playable character and somewhat prominent, because he actually has one of his story routes in 4 is actually him chasing Oda around all the time, being like, hey, let's be best friends, / equal, / I want to have the same rank as you do. So it's really funny how that sort of thing happens.
Making that guy a demon king, that is a very funny idea.
So what I'm doing here is I'm keeping in all the stages where even if it's just dialogue, anything resembling a story actually happens. And so you've got Yoshiaki here like, oh, she's here. If I get in with them, I can secure a spot for myself in the new demon army.
Because everyone's already pretty much thinking that, yeah, it's up going to come back, so, you know, I guess they're just future-proofing.
It's also funny to think that all of this shit is happening in the background of these 4 basically like 25-year-olds just throwing bitch slaps at each other for the main game.
Right.
All this crap is happening in the background, and you could miss it if you don't play the routes correctly.
Like, there's obvious hintings of it. Like whenever Tenkai shows up, it's like, huh, he seems to be doing something odd. So, like it. But, like, you never see Oichi whatsoever outside of, like, when you first showed it recently in Saika's route. So, yeah, it is pretty well hidden if you don't look for it.
Yeah. It's really funny, because it's like, this is the secret climax of the game.
Yeah. All four of the warriors fighting each other, and it turned out, oh, nope, Demon King was resurrecting all along. You gotta fight him now. As it also went in the movie.
The movie's version of that is really funny. It's like, oh hey, this is also happening in the background, but we're actually present for it, so let's just all fight him together. Which is way better than the Judge End. God, I still can't believe Judge End was allowed to happen. Do you remember the Judge End version?
No, I don't actually. All I remember is Oda resurrected in Oichi's body and then was no longer, and that was all I got.
So in the Judge End version, what happens is they actually make it a subplot running throughout the whole season that Tenkai is allying with various lords, kidnapping people, and is basically feeding people or energy or something to Oichi to get her demon powers back, and then using that as a catalyst to summon Oda. But what's funny is they sort of play it straight to the game. Literally, the stage Siege of Kanagasaki Castle, I think, is what Oichi's stage in the Manga Oichi route is called. It appears right next to Sekigahara, which is where all of the final battles take place in everyone else's route. The castle literally appears in the middle of Sekigahara, and Keiji and Manga Oichi go to check it out by themselves, and they beat up Tenkai before Oda can even get summoned. So it's, Chekhov's gun, I believe the term is called?
Yeah, I would do that.
You set up this plot point where Oda was going to get revived, and then you just sort of don't do it. I don't know if that's... I guess it's sort of like, what if Trunks was able to beat Cell before he got to 18?
You know what? I got a better analogy for you. It's like if Semi-Perfect Cell was actually killed by Vegeta.
Yeah, that's basically what I said. Yeah.
As like a more like extreme example of that, but yeah.
So it's like, that's cool, but you're also sort of leaving that on the table.
Yeah.
So yeah, that version was bad, and that third season of the anime made by a completely different studio was bad, and the only thing that had some redeeming elements, but it is not good in the long run. It's like a 3 out of 10. We're never gonna get any more Sengoku Basara anime. I mean, I guess that's sort of a given, what with their...
Probably shouldn't after that last outing we just had with the high school.
I wasn't even thinking about Gaku and Basara. I was thinking, like, the only thing they could do, maybe, is do an anime adaptation of Yukimura Legend. And that could probably fill 12 episodes. But it's like, that's all they have left. It's been 8 years, and we haven't gotten a Basara 5. We had that mobile game in 2018 that was shut down by 2020. So we've had literally nothing since. Oh, and since Oichi's on screen, that fucking Capcom card mobile game thing, that's a bunch of Capcom crossover stuff. Oichi was in that game, and she was dubbed by Laura Bailey in, like, 2019. That's fucking
wild.
weird.
So,
because she doesn't do anime-style games anymore.
Tell me about it. So, we were actually talking about the high school anime just now, and I just remembered in the back of my mind, since we're also talking about on Oichi's story right now. Yeah, the anime turned into goth GF material, but that being said, looking at her now, I actually get disturbingly close flashbacks to school days.
Yeah.
And also,
yeah,
I'm like,
looks
I don't know,
like,
maybe not.
That looks just like the girl from School Days, yeah.
Yeah, I think her name was Katsuya, something like that, but you know, it's fine. Katsuya herself didn't do anything bad, so it's whatever.
Was the murderer the short-haired one or the long-haired one?
Short-haired one. Well, both of them murdered. I'm gonna say the short-haired one was worse though, because the fact that she struck first.
Which one was the one that lived?
Long-haired one.
Eye for an eye.
Yeah, pretty much. That's why I feel less bad about Katsuya dying. I do for the short-haired shit. She literally only killed him in that one ending because it was a bad ending in School Days, and it was like, yeah, I'm gonna lose him even though he is still Katsuya's boyfriend, because this plot's gone completely off the rails, even though the kid literally redeemed himself in the second last episode. Oops.
To be honest, I still think that's the best possible ending the anime could have done for. Because there's a million harem anime out there, there's a million harem hentai out there, and how else do you stand out from the crowd unless you do something crazy and stupid like that?
See, I actually sharply disagree with that, and I could actually give you a reason why.
Even if he was redeemed, it still wouldn't stick out from the crowd. It still would have just fallen into the abyss of mid-2000s harem anime.
See, I would agree, except harem anime don't have the main MC pro tag like go down the spiraling depression that kid did, especially just losing himself and just being able to bang anyone. So actually having him realize he fucked up and actually realizing going down the straight and narrow, I actually thought that was a good ending. And I feel like that already did. She has fur boots. That actually feel like that did kind of help it stand out. It's unfortunate that the only thing it's remembered for is because of the murder ending.
You wish to hear the devil sing. Is that you?
I watched the whole show. Not think a lot of other people did.
I mean, it's still based on a hentai. There's still not a whole lot else you can do with that.
Yeah.
I mean, and then that series did end up getting like 5 games.
Yup.
So.
For better or for worse. So I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess with whatever you can see him naked in the games. Yeah.
I bought the School Days game. I still have that on my shelf.
Yes, that's correct. We cannot play that on Twitch.
No!
No, can do. Maybe we're Discord.
Exactly matches that.
I'm mostly kidding. Anyway, so actually 2 things I've been holding off on talking about Oichi this whole time. One is that this outfit gives her fishnets. It doesn't have the bare legs. On the one hand, that's not necessarily my bag, but I can definitely see the appeal. 2 is that she gets one of the best... Ironically, despite being slow as a fucking tank, she has ironically one of the single best movement options of the whole game, with just the wing attack just catapulting upwards. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's sort of like an upward moving stinger.
Yeah.
That dialogue was interesting just there. She was talking about how her guys were like, it's okay, we'll protect you, we'll keep you safe. And she's like, keep me safe from what? I have nothing left to live for.
Ouch.